Welcome. We are on day 83 of the chronological Bible in a year. Take a breath and take a moment to celebrate that you have set this time aside to hear God's word. Let's begin in Joshua chapter 1. But the sons of Israel acted unfaithfully regarding the things that designated for destruction. For Achan, the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, from the tribe of Judah, took some of the designated things. Therefore, the anger of the Lord burned against the sons of Israel. From 1 Chronicles 2, verse 7. The son of Carmi was Achan, the one who brought disaster on Israel by violating the ban. From Joshua chapter 7. Now Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is near Beth Aven, east of Bethel, and said to them, Go up and spy out the land. So the men went up and spied out Ai. And they returned to Joshua and said to him, Do not have all the people go up, only have about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and attack Ai, and do not trouble all the people there, for they are few. So about 3,000 men from the people went up there, but they fled from the men of Ai. And the men of Ai struck and killed about 36 of their men, and pursued them from the gate as far as Shebarim, and struck them on the mountainside. And the hearts of the people melted and became like water. Then Joshua tore his clothes and fell to the ground on his face before the ark of the Lord until evening, both he and the elders of Israel. And they put dust on their heads. And Joshua said, O Lord God, why did you ever bring this people across the Jordan only to hand us over to the Amorites to eliminate us? If only we had been willing to live beyond the Jordan. O Lord, what can I say since Israel has turned their back before their enemies? For the Canaanites and all the inhabitants of the land will hear about it, and they will surround us and eliminate our name from the earth. And what will you do for your great name? So the Lord said to Joshua, Stand up. Why is it that you have fallen on your face? Israel has sinned, and they have also violated my covenant which I commanded them. And they have even taken some of the things designated for destruction, and have both stolen and kept it a secret. Furthermore, they have also put them among their own things. Therefore the sons of Israel cannot stand against their enemies. They turn their backs before their enemies, because they have become designated for destruction. I will not be with you any more unless you eliminate from your midst the things designated for destruction. Stand up, consecrate the people, and say, Consecrate yourselves for tomorrow, because the Lord, the God of Israel, has said this. There are things designated for destruction in your midst, Israel. You cannot stand against your enemies until you have removed the designated things from your midst. So in the morning you shall come forward by your tribes. And it shall be the tribe which the Lord selects by lot shall come forward by families, and the family which the Lord selects shall come forward by households, and the households which the Lord selects shall come forward man by man. And it shall be that the one who is selected with the things designated for destruction shall be burned with fire, he and all that belongs to him, because he has violated the covenant of the Lord, and because he has committed a disgraceful thing in Israel. So Joshua got up early in the morning and brought Israel forward by tribes, and the tribe of Judah was selected. So he brought the family of Judah forward, and he selected the family of the Zerahites. Then he brought the family of the Zerahites forward, man by man, and Zabdi was selected. And he brought his household forward, man by man. And Achan, son of Carmi, son of Zabdi, son of Zerah, from the tribe of Judah, was selected. Then Joshua said to Achan, "My son, I implore you, give glory to the Lord, the God of Israel, and give praise to him. And tell me now what you have done. Do not hide it from me." So Achan answered Joshua and said, "Truly I have sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel, and this is what I did. When I saw among the spoils a beautiful robe from Shinar, 200 shekels of silver, a bar of gold, 50 shekels in weight, then I wanted them and took them. And behold, they are hidden in the ground inside my tent, with the silver underneath." So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran to the tent, and behold, it was hidden in his tent, with silver underneath. So they took them from inside the tent and brought them to Joshua and to all the sons of Israel, and they laid them out before the Lord. Then Joshua and all Israel with him took Achan, the son of Zerah, the silver, the robe, the bar of gold, his sons, his daughters, his oxen, his donkeys, his sheep, his tent, and all that belonged to him. And they brought them up to the valley of Achan. And Joshua said, "Why have you brought disaster on us? The Lord will bring disaster on you this day." And all Israel stoned them with stones, and they burned them with fire after they had stoned them with stones. Then they erected over him a large heap of stones that stands to this day. And the Lord turned from the fierceness of his anger. Therefore, the name of that place has been called the Valley of Achan to this day. Now the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not fear or be dismayed. Take all the people of war with you. Arise, go up to Ai. See, I have handed over to you the king of Ai, his people, his city, and his land. You shall do to Ai and its king just as you did to Jericho and its king. You shall take only the spoils and its cattle as plunder for yourselves. Set an ambush for the city behind it." So Joshua rose up with all the people of war to go up to Ai. And Joshua chose 30,000 men, valiant warriors, and sent them out at night. He commanded them, saying, "See, you are going to ambush the city from behind it. Do not go very far from the city, but all of you be ready. Then I and all the people who are with me will approach the city. And when they come out to meet us, as they did the first time, we will flee before them. They will come out after us until we have lured them away from the city, and they will say, 'They are fleeing before us, just as they did the first time.' So we will flee before them, and you shall rise from your ambush and take possession of the city, for the Lord your God will hand it over to you. Then it will be, when you have seized the city, that you shall set the city on fire. You shall do it in accordance with the word of the Lord. See, I have commanded you." So Joshua sent them away, and they went to the place of ambush and remained between Bethel and Ai, on the west side of Ai. But Joshua spent the night among the people. Now Joshua got up early in the morning and mustered the people, and he went up with the elders of Israel before the people to Ai. Then all the people of war who were with him went up and approached and arrived in front of the city, and they camped on the north side of Ai. And there was a valley between him and Ai. Then he took about 5,000 men and set them in ambush between Bethel and Ai on the west side of the city. So they stationed the people, all the army that was on the north side of the city, and its rear guard on the west side of the city. And Joshua spent that night in the midst of the valley. And it came about, when the king of Ai saw them, that the men of the city hurried and got up early and went out to meet Israel in battle, he and all his people at the appointed place before the desert plain. But he did not know that there was an ambush against him behind the city. Then Joshua and all Israel pretended to be defeated before them, and they fled by the way of the wilderness. And all the people who were in the city were called together to pursue them, and they pursued Joshua and were lured away from the city. So not a man was left in Ai or Bethel, but they had all gone out after Israel, and they left the city unguarded and pursued Israel. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Reach out with the sword that is in your hand toward Ai, for I will hand it over to you." So Joshua reached out with the sword that was in his hand toward the city. Then the men in ambush rose quickly from their place, and when he had reached out with his hand, they ran and entered the city and captured it, and they quickly set the city on fire. When the men of Ai turned back and looked, behold, the smoke of the city ascended to the sky, and they had no place to flee this way or that, for the people who had been fleeing to the wilderness turned against the pursuers. When Joshua and all Israel saw that the men in ambush had captured the city, and that the smoke of the city ascended, they turned back and killed all the men of Ai. The others came out from the city to confront them, so that they were trapped in the midst of Israel, some on this side and some on that side. And they killed them until there was not one left who escaped or survived. But they captured the king of Ai alive and brought him to Joshua. Now when Israel had finished killing all the inhabitants of Ai in the fields of the wilderness where they pursued them, and all of them had fallen by the edge of the sword until they were destroyed, then all Israel returned to Ai and struck it with the edge of the sword. So all who fell that day, both men and women, were 12,000, all the people of Ai. For Joshua did not withdraw his hand with which he reached out with the sword until he had utterly destroyed all the inhabitants of Ai. Israel took only the cattle and the spoils of that city as plunder for themselves, in accordance with the word of the Lord which he had commanded Joshua. So Joshua burned Ai and made it a refuse heap forever, a desolation until this day. And he hanged the king of Ai on a tree until evening. But at sunset Joshua gave the command, and they took his body down from the tree and threw it at the entrance of the city gate, and erected over it a large heap of stones that stands to this day. Then Joshua built an altar to the Lord, the God of Israel, on Mount Ebal, just as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded the sons of Israel, as it is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of uncut stones on which no one had wielded an iron tool. And they offered burnt offerings on it to the Lord and sacrificed peace offerings. And he wrote there on the stones a copy of the law of Moses, which he had written in the presence of the sons of Israel. And all Israel, with their elders, officers, and their judges, were standing on both sides of the ark before the Levitical priests who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, a stranger as well as the native. Half of them stood in front of Mount Gerizim, and half of them in front of Mount Ebal, just as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded at first to bless the people of Israel. Then afterward he read all the words of the law, the blessing and the curse, according to everything that is written in the book of the law. There was not a word of all that Moses had commanded which Joshua did not read before the assembly of Israel, with the women, the little ones, and the strangers who were living among them. Now it came about, when all the kings who were beyond the Jordan in the hill country, the lowland, and all the coast of the great sea toward Lebanon, the Hittite and the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite heard about it, that they met together with one purpose, to fight with Joshua and with Israel. The inhabitants of Gibeon also heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and to Ai. But they on their part acted craftily, and went and took provisions for a journey, and took worn out sacks on their donkeys, and wineskins that were worn out, split open and patched, and worn out and patched sandals on their feet, and worn out clothes on themselves. And all the bread of their provision was dry and had become crumbled. And they went to Joshua at the camp at Gilgal and said to him and the men of Israel, "We have come from a far country. Now then, make a covenant with us." But the men of Israel said to the Hivites, "Perhaps you are living within our land. How then are we to make a covenant with you?" So they said to Joshua, "We are your servants." Then Joshua said to them, "Who are you and where do you come from?" They said to him, "Your servants have come from a very distant country because of the fame of the Lord your God, for we have heard the report about him and all that he did in Egypt, and all that he did to the 2 kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, to Sihon king of Heshbon, and to Og king of Bashan, who was in Ashtaroth. So our elders and all the inhabitants of our country spoke to us, saying, 'Take provisions in your hand for the journey, and go to meet them, and say to them, We are your servants. Now then, make a covenant with us. This bread of ours was hot when we took it for our provisions from our houses on the day that we left to come to you. But now, behold, it is dry and has become crumbled. And these wineskins which we filled were new, and behold, they are split open. And these clothes of ours and our sandals are worn out from the very long journey.' So the men of Israel took some of their provisions and did not ask for the counsel of the Lord. And Joshua made peace with them and made a covenant with them to let them live. And the leaders of the congregation swore an oath to them. However, it came about at the end of 3 days after they had made a covenant with them that they heard that they were neighbors and that they were living within their land. Then the sons of Israel set out and came to their cities on the 3rd day. Now their cities were Gibeon, Chephirah, Beeroth, and Kiriath Jearim. But the sons of Israel did not attack them, because the leaders of the congregation had sworn to them by the Lord, the God of Israel. And the whole congregation grumbled against the leaders. But all the leaders said to the whole congregation, "We have sworn an oath to them by the Lord, the God of Israel, and now we cannot touch them. This we will do to them, even let them live, so that the wrath will not be on us because of the oath which we swore to them." So the leaders said to them, "Let them live." And they became gatherers of firewood and labor to draw water for the whole congregation, just as the leaders had spoken to them. Then Joshua called for them and spoke to them, saying, "Why have you deceived us, saying, 'We are very far from you,' when you were living within our land? Now, therefore, you are cursed, and you will never cease to be slaves, both gatherers of firewood and labor to draw water for the house of my God." So they answered Joshua and said, "Since your servants were fully informed that the Lord your God has commanded his servant Moses to give you all the land and to destroy all the inhabitants of the land before you, we feared greatly for our lives because of you and did this thing. And now, behold, we are in your hands. Do to us as it seems good and right in your sight to do." This he did to them, and saved them from the hands of the sons of Israel, and they did not kill them. But on that day Joshua made them gatherers of firewood and labor to draw water for the congregation and for the altar of the Lord to this day in the place which he would choose. Thank you for listening. I pray that the seed of God's word will be planted in your heart and will continue to grow.